What do you think the strategy will be for the coming year in terms of traveling, going to hotels? Do you see the Jones coming in there as well?
I think Joneses will become important because they are keen on not boutique hotels, but the boutique experience. They like hotels with the designer feel. They like hotels with a philosophy. Mm-hmm. They like hotels with a very clear, bespoke, slightly artisanal brand, but not too difficult.
Not too served.
Not too, exactly. They're not, I suppose, as intellectually bothered about design as people in their 30s are. I think they were born in during a period when, for example, they grew up in the 80s when it was matte black. It was very much about chrome, very much about Marcel Breuer, very hard references. And I think they've taken that with them. They are concerned about the ecology of the planet. They are concerned about their global footprint. But I think they will do their best without it becoming too much of an effort. So what kind of hotels will they stay in? I think hotels that will have some kind of retreat, not a gym.
No, not
because
a gym.
A spiritual retreat, a relaxing, but not a spa. They like their wet rooms, for example. They like their hot tubs. They like pampering, but a spa is too passive. So you're beginning to see what I call the third category of active retreats. They tend to like things where they can show muscle and be active on the slopes and be active in the sea and be active in the mountains. So they do embrace nature, but it's not nature in the wild sense. It's nature in, can I conquer it? Can I climb the mountain, go down the waterfall, go down the river? So in some ways they have the competitive streak that they had in the 80s. They're still with us.
They're still there.
Yeah, still there.
What about cars? I'm going to buy a new car. And it surprised me a little bit because I came on and I said, I want to have a car good for the environment and so on, and didn't get a very big response.
I think they will surprise us for two reasons. I think they were very much aware of their gas-guzzling potential in the 90s. They did drive around in the Hummer. They did drive around in the big limos,
ranches in the town.
Yeah, the 4x4s and that. And I think now certainly the electric car appeals, not just because it's electric, but because I think by nature they like innovation and they want clean technology to work. Exactly. If the car is silly looking and if it doesn't go fast enough, they won't really have it. No. But if you look at the new generation of all-electric sports cars, they appeal.
Fantastic.
The new generation of, for example, cars coming out of China, the experimental cars from Peugeot, those slightly retro cars. Nissan have done the Nissan Cube, which is again slightly a strange car, but they like those things. And I think the other issue is they are increasingly worried if they live in a city centre, they don't want to be travelling. They have become very local. Yeah. So the car is less important than it used to be. So I'm seeing smaller cars, more efficient electric cars, but also I'm seeing streetcar schemes, which I know you have in Sweden, but certainly in Britain and Germany and France. These have taken off. The British man had to have a car to show his importance. Yeah. Now he shows his zip card to show that he is one of the urban elite. So it's quite a nice idea that he's moving on, and I think his female or male partners, depending on what they are, again have a similar view on the world. And the other thing we forget about them is that both of them within a relationship will have degrees. It's the first time we've seen generationally where both partners are equally well educated, women actually slightly more so than men, dual income households, and also family. If you think of pictures of people in their 30s, they have one child, and if you see pictures of people in their 20s, there are no children.
And the 40s,
they have 2, 3, 4, and in fact, one of the slides today, you will see 6 children, 2 divorces,
mine, yours, and ours.
Yes. And that's what I think is fascinating about them, is that suddenly they're creating homes which have huge potential for retailers, huge potential for brands, but I think brands are ignoring them. It's always about youth. It's about 30s. It's not about people in the 40s.
And we have to look up to the 40s. And they have the money, the education, and the family values.
Again, the family, if you think about it, they want the kids to read books, so there's lots of books in the house. They want the kids to have a good sense of music. Great, there's lots of DVDs still, although the kids have everything on their iPod. But also the amount of technology in the house is enormous.
And
Traveling, all of those things, again,
Hobbies.
create centres of activity and income.
I'm really looking forward to this
Good.
seminar.
I'm
really
looking
good.
forward as well.
Have you had your lunch?
I'm going to have something to eat now.
Good.
I'm going to have a Generation Jones sandwich.
That sounds good.